On your whiteboard, when a neuron is actually firing, the charges are what, Sophia? Positive. When we talk about a positive charge, what is the actual molecules that are positive? I don't know what that means. What is the actual sodium? What is the actual ions that are positive charged? Sodium nitrate. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Sodium nitrate is what is actually carrying the positive charge, which actually facilitates. You need to know that term for tomorrow, people. On your whiteboard, please tell me what facilitates faster neural transmission? What facilitates faster neural transitions? Good. What is it, Camden?
Myelin sheath.
Myelin sheath. On your whiteboard, please tell me what contains your brain and your spinal cord? What contains your brain and your spinal cord? Good. What is it, Connor? Central nervous system. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is it called when I move my arms like this by choice? What nervous system am I using? I got 1, 2, 3. No. What is it, Kaylee? Somatic nervous system. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the most common neurotransmitter in the brain? Which one is the most common? It's used to move muscles. Your letter C, it looks like ACW. Like, what the hell is that? Annalise, what is it? Acetylcholine, or ACH. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is an excitatory that's involved in control of movement and sensations of pleasure? When you see the person you love, it makes your head all warm and fuzzy. Good. What is it, Ian? Dopamine. On your whiteboard, what blocks pain receptors and creates pain relief? So if you were in a soccer game and you broke your foot, you keep playing because you can't feel the pain. What is it, Sydney? Endorphins. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is excitatory and... No, that's a terrible one. Please tell me. What controls mood, sleep, and attitude? When you have a lot of it, you're not happy, you're content. And also, if you don't have enough of it causes depression. Good. What is it? Margot? Serotonin. On your whiteboard, please tell me, it's an inhibitory neurotransmitter. It's involved in sleep and it inhibits your movement. Okay, it stops you from being physically able to move. And that's why it's heavy in our sleep. Good. What is it, Jalen? GABA. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what provides support to our neurons, and they keep them in place as well as provide nutrients, as well as actually create the myelin sheath. What is it? Corinne? Glial cells. On your whiteboard, I am breathing and digesting my lunch right now without having to think about it. What nervous system controls it? What is it? Olivia? Autonomic. On your whiteboard, please tell me, where are neurotransmitters released from? Neurotransmitters are released from the what? Good. What is it, Hayden?
Terminal button.
Terminal buttons. Or axon terminal would also work, people. On your whiteboard, please tell me, please tell me what carries neural impulses from the nucleus to the axon terminal? Good. What is an Emerson? Axon. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is everything outside of your brain and spinal cord in your nervous system called? What is everything outside of your brain and spinal cord? Good. What is it? Peripheral nervous system. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the gap between neurons where neurotransmitters fill? Charles, I can't see your answers, so I don't know if you know anything or if you know everything. So right now, it's a big unknown. So can you help a girl out? Thank you kindly. What was the answer to the last one, since you won't show me the answer?
What was the question?
Thank you so much, Charles. You really hit on the head what my assumptions were. Charles, you need to be paying attention. If I need to babysit you, I will, Charles, which means I'll make you sit right up front. Do we want that? No? So please pay attention. The answer was synapse. Charles, synapse. It's the gap between neurons where neurotransmitters fill. Please follow along. Thank you kindly. All right, here we go. Let's do it. So today I practically finished content yesterday. We have a bunch of boxes I would like to fill in today to make your life easier. Just a friendly reminder, tomorrow you have a focus, a study guide, as well as an outline due tomorrow. So hopefully we can eliminate as much of that as humanly possible. Does that sound good? Perfect. So at the end of yesterday, we left off doing our all of our neurotransmitters. Thank you. I couldn't come up with transmitters for a second there. Okay, so after that, we're pretty much done with my content that I have for you on the PowerPoint. So we're just going to go back and fill in some stuff for you. Now, where I'd like to start off is actually at the top of your study guide. And it's called afferent and efferent neurons. Okay, so I would like to start there, which you're going to see next week. There's a lot of overlap between this week and next week. The next 3 weeks, this week, next week, and the following week, really do build on each other because we're trying to build a complex human body. So it makes sense that we're starting with the basic form of a neuron. Then next week, we're really going to focus about the systems. And then we're going to really talk about the brain chemistry and all that stuff in the third week. Sounds good? Okay. So when we talk about afferent and efferent, we're talking about the way neural impulses get sent. A comes before E. So if I kick Caroline in the shins, say ow. Oh, I didn't really kick her, but I want you to feel like you did. Okay? All of a sudden, with a kick to the shins, Caroline has a great pain. So all of a sudden, her shins, like, what the hell? Why did this crazy woman kick me? So then, all of their nerves are going to send the message. Miss Bennett? What else? Sure. Thank you. Girl, student affairs, you need to watch my video, man. Maybe listen to some of the whiteboards you missed. Yep, see ya. Okay, so I kick Caroline in the shins. Her nervous system is going to be like, oh crap, I just got kicked in the shins. So she's going to send a message from her shins through her nervous system all the way up her leg. It's going to hit her spinal cord and go super fast to her brain. And her brain's going to be like, holy shit, she kicked me. Okay? So when the message is going from your peripheral nervous system all the way up through your nervous system to your brain, it's called an afferent neurons. Your afferent neurons are sending the messages from your extremities, from your peripheral nervous system to your brain. So, Caroline's brain now recognizes that Samantha Bennett kicked her in the shins. And her brain is like, what the hell? So, her brain is going to be like, we'll punch her. So, she is going to be like, we're doing this. We're punching her. So, her brain is then going to send efferent, E-F-F. A comes before E. The message has to get there before we can respond. They're going to send efferent neurons all the way down to her arm. And she's going to pull back her arm and sock it to me right in the face. Okay? So, afferent neurons take messages from our bodies and send it to our brain. Our brain then processes them in what we call inner neurons. Inner neurons are located in your brain and spinal cord. They're the ones processing information, processing these afferent neurons and sending efferent neurons. Okay? So afferent neurons get the message in the shins. They send it all the way up my leg, hits the spinal cord, it's like the superhighway, goes to my brain. Then the inner neurons are like, holy shit, she kicked us.
can't believe that won't get us. Okay? Well, we'll teach her a lesson. So then they send efferent neurons down through my spinal cord, down my arm, down her arm, pulls back, punches me in the face. Afferent, send neurons to the brain. Efferent, send neurons to the muscles to create movement. Okay? To create movement. What?
So where does like this is probably like not totally off topic, but it makes sense. Where does personality come into play with that? Of like
Your
brain
inner
saying,
neurons
like,
will be
you wanna-
dictated by your personality.
Got it.
Like there's some people I've met. So I have a friend named Cook. His first name is Michael. I'm not really sure. He's one of the doesn't everyone have a friend that you call them by a nickname, whether it's their last name or something, and you're not really sure what their first name is
Yeah.
because you've just never. Yeah, like for instance, when I like all my friends, like my best friend flying in, she's gonna call me Sam Reeves the whole time. Like she won't say Sam. She's definitely not calling me Sam Bennett. Like not a shot in hell. Sam Bennett came up and she's like, Sam Bennett. I was like, hello, that's me, you idiot. And she's like, no, you'll forever be Sam Reeves. Sam Reeves. That's what everyone called me. Comes right out in one syllable, I guess, Sam Reeves. Okay? Mike is the nicest, sweetest man I've ever met. Cook is the nicest, sweetest man I've ever met. Okay? He's my movie buddy. I could punch Cook in the face, and Cook would say, well, I didn't like it. And he would just move on with his life. And that would be it. Okay? With that, that's your inner neurons. His inner neurons and his brains are processing how people react. I have a lot of inner neurons that have rage. So my reaction would be to fly off the handle very quickly. Cook is a very chill man, plenty of serotonin, very happy man, so he'd be like, oh man, what an inconvenience. But that would be your inner neurons that makes those decisions. Okay. Afferent neurons, inner neurons. How do we feel about them? A before E. Afferent has to send the message to the brain before the brain can respond. Okay? All right. What else do you need from your study guide here, people? Study guide. Let's focus on study guide because a lot of the stuff on your focus is already on your study guide. Would we agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Camden.
Pituitary gland.
Okay, your pituitary gland is located in your brain. You do need to know that. Your pituitary gland is located in your brain, and it is in charge of your endocrine system. And I'm writing it down up here so don't even notice.
Yeah, that's the next term.
Endocrine. Okay, so your pituitary gland is in charge of your endocrine system. Your endocrine system is in charge of your hormones. Okay, so if you have an enlarged pituitary gland, you have more hormones than the average person. And we've seen that a lot of our mass serial rapists and murderers have enlarged pituitary glands, which means they have more hormones and more rage than the average person. Fun fact. Okay, so your endocrine system is in charge of all your hormones, and your hormones affect your neurotransmitters, which is why it's here. That's all you need to know about the endocrine system and your pituitary gland. So your pituitary gland is in charge of your endocrine system is in charge of releasing all your hormones. So like when you hit puberty, your endocrine system like finally started going, right? And that's when you started having those awful changes and everyone's awkward and miserable in middle school. Yeah? Do we look back on middle school and think fond thoughts? Yeah, exactly. Everyone's miserable. Okay? That's your endocrine system going. And it'll affect you for the rest of your life. It also controls like your weight. Okay? And some people have super hyperactive endocrine glands, and they're super, super skinny. If you have a really slow endocrine gland, it allows you to put on weight really quickly. So it has a huge influence on people's lives. Just like the way your moods, your weight, all those different types of things, all hormone based. All right, what else? Nothing else? I'm done for the day. What? Neural impulses. All right, neural impulses are just electrical messages sent through a neuron. They're just the electrical impulses sent through a neuron that trigger the release of neurotransmitters. Keep in mind, neural impulses do not jump from one neuron to the other. What carries the messages? What
carries the messages between neuron to neuron? Neurotransmitters carry the message. And how do we release neurotransmitters? Neural impulses. There's just electrical, like your brain has like, runs on like 5 watts of electricity. Yeah, like they figured out how much the average human brain can like build in like electricity. It's like 4 or 5 watts. I mean, you can't turn on a light bulb like this, but. What do you got, Candy?
Is an axon terminal the same as terminal bus?
Yes, they are the same. We talked about it yesterday, Candy. You may remember this conversation when I said there was 9 textbooks for AP Psych. So there are a lot of. No, you're fine. You're fine. Oh, that's why. See, I taught it without you, and it was awesome. There's 9 textbooks. There's a lot of terms that have same definition, double terms, and that happens to be one of them. And you have to be familiar because on the AP exam, they could use terminal buttons or they could be axon terminals. So you just have to be familiar, which is why you're going to see multiple of them, because I'm trying to prepare you as best I can for that exam. Which is why your vocab packet is from the Myers book, your lecture is from Ciccarelli, and then you have a 3rd book. So I'm covering 3 books in one class. Yeah, I want your neuron firing. Yeah. So on the bottom of your study guide, it's your neuron.
I didn't get
Because guys, that's a huge part of your test tomorrow is the identity of the part of the neuron and how it fires. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a little stick figure one. That's all I need. Like, it's not supposed to be this super in-depth. Yeah, make it look like a pipe cleaner, people. Okay? Simple, stupid. But a lot of your test tomorrow is on the axon does what in a neuron, and you have 5 choices. The dendrites do what in the following, you have a couple options. One of the questions I will tell you will be asking you which is the correct order of how a neuron fires. So, making sure you know that. Annalise. Hold on, can we finish the study guide first? And then I'll happily get there. I have more than enough time. What else do you need, Camden?
So, like, when you say a neuron is it firing a message or an impulse?
It's firing a neural impulse, which
Okay.
is a message.
Okay.
Message and neural impulse are the same thing.
Okay.
That's how all of the messages are being traveled through neural impulses. So a neural impulse only exists from a nucleus to the axon terminal, and in the axon terminal, it converts to neurotransmitters. Okay? All right, does anyone else have a question on the study guide? And then we're going to jump to the focus. What do you got, Madison?
the application for nucleus.
It's the brain of the neuron. That's what I would write. Alright, so everyone else is feeling pretty good about their study guide? Perfect. Let's look at the focus and let's fill in some of those things for you. Alright, so the first part, that is really just taking what we labeled on your big diagram of the neuron and just filling that information in there. We see that, yes? Okay, so no one should really be freaking out about the first one. Alright, what else do we need on this focus? My job is to help you fill it in. That's my goal on Wednesday. So focus is the questions, yeah. No one needs anything?
Can we go over the little chart on the back?
Sure, let's do the chart. Okay, so on the chart on the back happens to be number 4. Acetylcholine, we have those answers on your study guide, so they're easily transferable. Not that I'm trying to cop out and say, I don't want to show you it. I'm showing it to you right now. But, I mean, it's all right there. That's your first function. Okay, so acetylcholine, how about do you want time to fill in the box? All right, and then we'll talk about the deficits. I know, it's trouble. Everyone's doing. How about we do the accesses and you should have it on your study guide.
Tomorrow, should we know like which one's excitatory and which one's inhibitory?
No, just have a basic understanding. Please listen, just have a basic understanding that serotonin is all about contentness. Like, you're not super happy, you're not super sad, and you should know if I have extra of this is how I feel. So the chart that I'm about to lay out for you is really what you need to know. Is that okay? Okay, so let's start with serotonin, because I want to start with serotonin because that's the easiest one off the top of my head. Serotonin on there? Yes, perfect. Serotonin, if you have too little of it, it causes depression. My sister has a lack of serotonin in her brain, which has caused her to have depression. And she's had it since she hit puberty. She's been on medication, on and on, throughout her whole life. And we'll talk about that, which is pretty cool. Okay, alright. What is the other one? Too much of it is going to cause hallucination. Too much of it causes hallucination.
of it causes hallucination. Okay. What's the next one what's the first one on the list? Acetylcholine. Fine. Alright, ACH, too much of it causes Parkinson's. No, I'm so sorry. I lied to you. I'm sorry, but I have verified proof. Acetylcholine, too much of it, too little of it. Hello, my name's Smith Bennett, and I'm so sorry. Acetylcholine, if you have too little of it, it causes Alzheimer's.
You have too much.
If you have too little, if you don't have enough, it causes Alzheimer's. Okay, so too little of it is Alzheimer's. What's your next one?
Too much.
Too much is going to cause tremors. Like you shake. Like, and no, because that's dopamine. It's not shaking them. Okay, next one is dopamine. Okay, dopamine. Too little is Parkinson's. Dopamine, too little is Parkinson's. What's the shaking, in case you didn't know? Michael J. Fox. I mean, he's more my generation than your generation, I guess. Do you know who he is? Back to the Future guy. He goes and stands in front of Congress and tries to get more. Okay, you don't know. Got it. Too much is schizophrenia. Dopamine. Too little is Parkinson's. Too much is schizophrenia. Okay, what's your next one? Endorphins. Too much gives you wings. I don't know. Too much of it would make you very bold. No, too much of it means you don't feel any pain. That's all. Too much of it makes you feel no pain. Too little would mean you're in pain all the time. Yeah, there's some people in the world who exist who don't feel pain at all. And no, it's not. You don't know if you're a candle. Yeah, they don't know. And they're usually like super reckless.
The truck.
Kind of, but like
Was an episode.
they're like not though. They're like not indestructible people. Like they still die. They just don't feel it. They just don't
Grace,
feel it.
a girl
Yeah.
was bleeding for like 4 hours, didn't know, was there for her friend, chilling out. She sat there walking the entire time.
She died.
No.
3, 2. Guys, having weird extreme things like that doesn't make it like your life easier. It makes you strange because you can't relate to the normal human experiences. It makes you an outsider in basic human experiences. Does that make sense? I mean, if you have it, I'm not calling you strange, but like when you have those like really extreme components of like you can't feel fear, you can't feel pain and those types of things, you're void of normal human experiences, which means you're isolated from normal humans because we can't relate to them and they can't relate to us. And so you've created by not of their choice, but it creates a bubble. So like you should be like, oh man, I wish that was me. It's a hard life, guys. It's a hard life.
So like you could go on a fire and you wouldn't feel it.
Yeah, but you can still die.
But like you
Still
could
be
walk
you
through
can
that
still
fire
get
for a
okay.
little bit.
Think of like if you're subconsciously like internally bleeding for hours.
You're still gonna die.
You're gonna die.
Alright,
You
hello.
can
Alright, we can discuss whether that's cool or awful another day. Because you have a test tomorrow and I'd like to make sure you have as little homework as possible. Silly me. Silly me for caring. But I would like it so you don't have to be up late doing AP Psych. Is that okay with you? So I'm gonna continue. Olivia.
Can you do like 7?
I don't know what 7 is.
Explain why we have reflexes with controls for reflex.
Okay, so we have reflexes in our body. What is the easiest reflex to test?
The knee.
The knee. So when you go to the doctors and you go and you sit on the counter and your doctor hits you with that weird triangle thing. Why does it have to be a triangle thing? I don't really know. Anyway, so the reason why the doctor does that in the first place is to test in general if your reflexes work. Because if your reflexes don't work, that gives the doctor easy access to see if your spinal cord in your neural system is working appropriately without having to do any chemicals, any tests, anything intrusive. So it's an easy way to see. your reflex, like for instance, you hit underneath your kneecap, it moves my leg. Okay, that's your reflex. What that is, it is a hardwired response. You're going to want to write this down. A reflex is a hardwired response from that specific area to your spinal cord. It's to your spinal cord. It does not reach your brain. A reflex is a hardwired response from wherever the reflex is to your spinal cord in order to protect the integrity of the body. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our bodies evolved through the cave times, correct? We spend most of our time on Earth as humans living in the woods, hunting and gathering and doing that. We've spent less time farming and living in buildings, and we've spent way less time in air conditioning, okay? So our bodies are programmed to survive in the wilderness. That's where our bodies have evolved from. They haven't really evolved to settle into our modern day environment because we haven't been doing this that long. So with that being said, with your knee thing, if you break your leg, something hits your knee, and you depend on hunting and gathering and following a herd, how well are you going to survive? You're not going to survive. Your family's going to have to abandon you because you'll be too much of a burden, and you'll be left behind, and you'll be eaten by a bear. So our body is trying to protect us so that anything that comes near our knees, our body reacts by moving it. That is why we have a hardwired reflex that tries anything that hits our knee in a weird way. Our body moves our knee to keep us safe, because if we lose our legs, how is that going to go in the environment, the natural environment? Not well, but the bears will love it. Okay? So, the reason why we have reflexes is to protect our ability to function as an individual. And it's why is it hardwired to our spine and not our brain? It's quicker, yes. A reflex means your brain isn't processing, which means it's super fast. It is hardwired to our spine, so our spine can immediately bounce back a response and save ourselves. See, he's pumped. What do you got? What else we got?
6.
I don't know what 6 is.
Explain how sensory information about a stub toe gets to your brain.
Okay, perfect. This is all about afferent, efferent, and interneurons. So, I kick my foot on a table. What type of neurons are going from my toe all the way up? Afferent. And that starts with what letter? A. Afferent neurons send the message from my toe all the way up my leg. Then it hits the spinal cord and goes super fast to my brain. Once it's in the brain, what type of neurons are processing that information? Interneurons are processing it then in the brain. And they're like, oh, dummy. Okay, how stupid are you? So then all of a sudden, my interneurons make the decision, pick up your damn foot. Okay, so then the interneuron's like, okay, pick up the foot. So then they send what type of neurons all the way back down my spinal cord? Efferent, E. Efferent neurons down, so I pick up my feet like an idiot and say, ouchies. Okay, so when you stub your toe, it is your afferent neurons that send the message all the way up from your peripheral nervous system to your spinal cord, to your brain. Your interneurons sit there and then process that information, and then they send efferent, E, neurons down for you to move your body. It's pretty cool, don't you think? What do you got, Annie?
For the second part of study, it says in your brain involved, how's your brain involved?
Oh, in this? In the
In the reflexes.
the stub toe thing? Oh, in reflexes?
Yeah.
Your brain's not involved, and that's what I really wanted you to know. Your brain's really not involved in your processing. It's your spinal cord. That's what I wanted you to differentiate.
Your brain's not involved with a reflex. And that's what I really wanted you to know. It's managed by your spinal cord. Why? Because it's faster. Because keep in mind, all of your reflexes are there in order to protect yourself. Okay? Like for instance, if you think for a second like you're falling backwards, what do? You flinch and you try to set yourself up forward. Because the most dangerous part of your brain is your medulla, which is right here at the very base. Like if you touch your neck and you wiggle your fingers in, as soon as you start feeling skull, right behind that is your medulla. Your medulla is the one that regulates your breathing, it regulates your digestion, all the autonomic things that we covered, those are going to be in your medulla. So what is the most important part of the brain that we protect? The lower part of our brain, which is why when we think we're falling, we do whatever we can to fix it, because if we fall and hit the back of our head, you can easily die, or you become paralyzed, or you can't eat, digest, or anything like that. And you become a couch potato, which is why your mother freaks out when you were a little kid and used to push your little brother and sister and they would just like fall back like a rag doll. Because people die all the time by falling backwards. It's really regular. Yeah, because it's such a vital part. And as soon as you like damage your medulla, you're done. There's no restoring that, there's no bringing it back. Like as soon as you hurt the medulla, you're done. So like be super careful. Fun fact. So don't push your little brother or sisters around. What do you got? Or at least push them forward. Don't push them backwards. What do you got, Taylor?
For number 2 on the focus, it's saying explain how neuron fires. Can you just go through like the
It's literally your normal.
We literally just like do 1, 2, 3. Is it the desk?
You're supposed to write it in a full sentence.
But
Can I
that
just like
was
start
all
a sentence?
come on, we have done so much this week. Come on. Come on.
You people are so white. Oh my God! Kaylee!
She just
Call me out.
Wait,
No,
what'd you
no,
say?
it's fine.
What'd you say?
No,
Well,
I
you're
said you should
going
take a
away.
day off Friday, so you're gonna have to work harder.
She's implying that I'm a lazy teacher who does not care about her students if they take days
So
off.
true.
I don't think you missed a day. No.
No, the fact that I'm taking a day off is just the weirdest, strangest thing.
No, I have teachers that are all like every day.
Fine.
Yeah.
You can do 1, 2, 3, 4, not just dash marks. Because that doesn't derive that you know that goes on. Fine. People are so whining.
I didn't know that. I'll make this.
Yeah, you do.
You're the
Thank
best
you.
teacher ever.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Kate.
Time is
Some of them are straight up, what is the definition of this? And some of them are just scenarios. You'll see. After you see your first test, you know, you'll be fine. Did we finish everything?
Yeah, you just gotta write that in.
Perfect. So why don't you spend some time and fill in your dendrites, your cell body, and your axons and knock it out so we can be done. Does that make you happy? You have 2 minutes, so use the 2 minutes. You don't have to spend 2 minutes at home. I know, you can do it right now. Take out your diagram. All the answers are on your diagram, people.
Diagram. Oh yeah. Oh, what's
Glutamate? Glutamate, it's on your study guide.
Okay. Also,
Wait, when it says explain how a
Sydney,
neuron fires.
hold on. Sydney raised her hand. Yes.
So like for the
Shh, I can't hear Sydney and she's speaking to me. What?
So for the interneurons, is it like deciding what the efferent neurons are gonna be like sent? Like how they're gonna be sent?
Wait, I'm sorry. Start again. What?
So for the interneurons.
Interneurons, they receive afferent.
Yeah.
They only send efferent.
Okay.
Afferent are also known as sensory neurons, while efferent are also known as motor neurons because they move muscle.
But does like the interneurons, do they decide the actions?
Yeah, and they send motor neurons to process it. Charles, can I have my neuron back, please?